Guys, what's going on? I hope you guys are well. Hope you guys are staying safe. Guys, let's get straight into this. Canelo Alvarez has been sent a draft. I got sent a one of my subscribers actually sent me a article, and I read the article, and it said Canelo Alvarez has been sent a draft, the first draft of the contract for the fight with Caleb Plant for September 18th, which is obviously great news. It obviously means that the ball is rolling. It obviously means that, this fight is getting closer. And the fact that now Canelo's probably going to have a look at it, see if he's happy, see if, whether he's happy with all the terms and conditions. And I'd like to think that a lot of the things have been discussed prior to them drafting the contract. And obviously Canelo's going to go over it, attention to detail, see things that he likes, or maybe he looks at and says, no, I think I want this change. And then I think then he'll obviously send the contract back to see if he wants any changes, or who knows, he may just be happy with it, and the fight just could be on. He may just sign the contract and that's it. But there is a draft contract, which from that, it clearly stated draft contract, which means if it's a draft contract, then obviously that means that Canelo's going to look over it, and there's probably going to be changes that he may want to it. But anyway, it's great news, because what it means is that the fight's moving closer, and the chances are of next week, maybe the fight might even get finalized if things move quickly, which is obviously great news. And I do think this fight will happen. I think a lot of people were speculating that is Canelo going to go. No, I just think, like I said to you, I don't think anything is going to stop Canelo, because Canelo wants to become undisputed. And when you're the cash cow, like Canelo Alvarez is, he is the cash cow of the sport. And when you want something, it most genuinely will happen, because everybody wants Canelo Alvarez on their platform, right? And Canelo Alvarez wants to become undisputed. Canelo Alvarez broke away with DAZN from that contract is because the reason why he did that is because Canelo knew that if I stick to one, then I can't fight who I want to fight. So now if Canelo Alvarez had a goal of becoming undisputed, right, there's no way he could do that, because the chances are DAZN are going to struggle. Because if he's got in a contract with DAZN, then DAZN are going to want him to fight on their platform, right? But now he's a freelancer, so he can fight on ESPN, he can fight on Fox. He hasn't got a deal with DAZN. Obviously, DAZN probably be willing, with doing anything they can to get him on their platform. But in this instance, for example, Fox won't allow, Caleb Plant might be under contract with Fox. They may not allow him to go and fight on DAZN. So now Canelo's thinking, okay, I'm a free agent, so I can come and fight on Fox. So basically, Canelo probably, said, okay, this is what I want, this, that. And then Fox, so now he's dealing with Fox. So he's happy to fight on Fox. And that, for me, is great, because someone like Canelo shouldn't be tied down to somebody, because what that means is then Canelo can only fight the fighters with DAZN. He can't fight the fighters on Fox. He can't fight, because here's the thing. If Al Heyman now has said, no, I'm not allowing Caleb Plant to fight on DAZN, what that means is Canelo Alvarez will be stuck, because DAZN won't let Canelo Alvarez fight on Fox. Very unlikely, because if they're paying him $350 million, they want him to fight on their platform. Whereas now, if he's a free agent, it gives him an opportunity to fight on whatever platform and fight whoever he wants. Because let's be honest, if he's talking about fighting Arthur Beterbiev, and for example, the champions are light heavyweight, Bivol is with DAZN, I believe, but the other two champions are with, I believe, ESPN, Top Rank. So if that's the case, he may have to go and fight on ESPN. If he fights Caleb Plant and beats him, his next couple of fights might be on ESPN. Do you see where I'm coming from? So he needs that freedom. And what Canelo's trying to do, Canelo wants to be remembered as one of the greatest fighters ever. So he needs freedom, because he needs to be able to fight whoever he needs to be able to fight whoever wants to fight in order to enhance his legacy. So if Canelo wants to fight Beterbiev, he doesn't want any roadblocks in the way. If Canelo wants to fight Plant, he doesn't want any roadblocks in the way to stop those fights from happening. And this is why, although PBC wanted Canelo to sign a 3-fight deal, this is why he probably rejected that, because Canelo's not interested in being tied down with one particular one particular broadcaster. He wants the freedom of fighting with whoever, because what that gives him an opportunity to fight whoever he wants, to set his own path, to set his own legacy and create his own legacy, not a legacy that people will say, oh well, he only fought these guys. He didn't fight those. Canelo Alvarez wants to fight anybody and everybody, and his resume proves that. Canelo is one of the best in the sport, and I don't think we can question that now. We can't question the fact that he's not fighting the best. He's fought the best for many years now, and I'm interested to see if he does fight Caleb Plant, which it looks like it will happen. I'm interested to see what Canelo's going to do after that. Who's Canelo going to fight after Caleb Plant? Who's Canelo going to fight? Is Canelo going to fight? Who's he going to fight? I personally think you're good. I personally think he's going to fight someone from light heavyweight. I don't think he's going to go back to middleweight, and I think he's going to fight a Beterbiev or a Bivol or someone like that. Because like I said to you, I think Canelo wants to enhance his legacy. Canelo wants to be remembered as one of the greatest fighters ever. And I think he wants to break boundaries. I think he wants to dare to be great and do things that people don't think he can do. Because I think now Canelo, the reason why he wants to become undisputed, so that can be on his CV that he was an undisputed champion. Then after that, I believe what Canelo's going to do, this is just me giving what I think, knowing Canelo, looking at Canelo and how he's moved in his career. Canelo's going to do things that where he can dare to be great, to enhance his legacy to a point where people say he's the greatest fighter ever. And that's what Canelo's going to do. All of the fights he takes after the Plant fight, because he would have achieved what he wanted to achieve from an achievement point of view. I reckon he's going to then want to take legacy fights, big fights like Beterbiev, fights that people think he's daring to be great, doing things that, that haven't been done in the sport before, breaking serious boundaries. I think that's what Canelo Alvarez is going to do. Because if Canelo Alvarez goes up to light heavyweight and dominates and beats everyone there, you have to say that Canelo Alvarez may be greater than Manny Pacquiao and Floyd. He may have a case for being greater than Floyd and Manny. I'm not saying he is, because those guys did great things in their careers, but he definitely has a case if he goes up to light heavyweight and beats everybody there, that he's in the same breath, or you could argue that he may even be better in terms of what he's achieved. Let's be honest, because going to light heavyweight, right, when this is a guy that started off at welterweight, and I know I started off as a 15-year-old kid and he was a big guy at 15. The fact of the matter is still, Canelo, in his early 20s, was fighting at 154, 155. He fought Amir when Amir was 29 and he was 27. He fought him at 155. In the next 4 or 5 years, this guy went up to light heavyweight and won a world title there against Kovalev. Kovalev wasn't in his prime, but nevertheless, Kovalev was still good, and he was still giving Canelo a hard fight up until Canelo knocked him out. So this Caleb Plant fight, for me, after this, I think what you're going to see from Canelo is you're going to see Canelo daring to be great. You're going to see Canelo Alvarez taking fights like the Bivols, like the Beterbievs, and he may even go to cruiserweight. I wouldn't count him off. Now, people do say that there's no way he could go to cruiserweight. I wouldn't count it out, because, like I said, Canelo's looking to create. Looking to create history. He's looking to take legacy fights where people in the future say he's the greatest fighter ever. He wants to be in that kind of category where people. Like right now, nobody looks at Canelo like Sugar Ray Leonard or Muhammad Ali or even Floyd Mayweather and Pacquiao, for example. Some of those great fighters, Hagler, Hearns. I don't think anybody really puts Canelo in that kind of category, even though, he's not a million miles away. But if he was to go and dominate at light heavyweight, then I'm sorry, I believe he's in that category. I believe he's in that category, even though he may not be as talented as some of those guys. Achievement of what he's done in the sport, I think you have to say that he's on that same level. Because let's be honest, Canelo Alvarez right now is very, very dominant. And if he goes and dominates at 175 against some of the beasts at 175, like a lot of everyone else, the boxing fans are saying that he can't beat Beterbiev. A lot of boxing fans think Beterbiev beats him. So if that's the case, if he goes up there and does it, then I'm sorry, that puts him in a very elite category. And I think by beating Plant, he becomes an elite category because he's beating all the top guys at 168. Then to move up to another weight class and then dominate that, because that's the next big thing for him. For me, he has to go to light heavyweight. There's nowhere real else for him to for him to do. I think him beating Andre Charlo, what does that really do for him? Because I personally think he will. I think he'll beat those guys, and he'll be expected to beat those guys. I think people would want to see him in legacy fights where people say, okay, Canelo could lose against Beterbiev. This is a hard fight. Canelo might lose this fight. I think that's what people are going to want to see Canelo do once he, beats a Plant, if he fights Plant next, which it looks likely with the contract being sent. I think that's what's going to happen. But it's great news. It's great news that Canelo Alvarez is making his fight. And you've got to commend him, because within 10 months for a guy to clean out a division, it doesn't happen. That is phenomenal. For a guy to literally, and especially a division that I wouldn't say it was strong. I wouldn't say Billy Joe, Callum Smith and Plant. They're all undefeated, yes. And they're all champions, yes, I get that. But neither of them are elite champions. Neither of them are stellar champions. But they're still world-class fighters, and Canelo's dominated them. And let's be honest, Canelo's not as big as any of those guys. All of those guys are bigger than him. And yet he dominated dominated the two so far. And I personally think he's going to dominate Plant. So if he goes to light heavyweight and does a number there, then Canelo Alvarez, for me, will be one of the greatest, and should be in the same category as a Hagler, Hearns, Leonard, Mayweather, Pacquiao. He should be mentioned in the same kind of league as those guys. Ali, Robinson. I believe Canelo then puts himself into that kind of category if he goes and dominates at light heavyweight. Because how many world champions would have this guy have beaten? And let's be honest, how many people think that Bivol and Beterbiev could beat him at light heavyweight? So if he goes and beats guys that, people think could beat him, I honestly don't think how anyone can then deny. I had a Spence fan the other day, trying to say to me that if Spence beats Pacquiao, he goes to number one pound for pound. I made an argument yesterday, and maybe that deserves a video, but I made an argument yesterday, if Pacquiao beats Spence, he may deserve to be number one pound for pound. But there's no way if Spence beats Pacquiao, who's 42 years of age, who's a guy that Spence should be beating right now, should be going to number one. But then he started pointing out about, Canelo, he's ducking guys and this, that. I'm like, come on, mate, stop it. And then he mentioned the testing and stuff. I was like, mate, come on, give it a rest. Canelo Alvarez has got the best resume in boxing right now. He's fighting champions, beating champions, dominating them. I just don't think you can criticize. And then if he beats Plant, like I said, and then goes up to light heavyweight, that's incredible. That's incredible. I just don't think anyone's doing it like that. And I don't think anyone's dominating like that in such emphatic fashion. I think you have to say that this is a guy in a league of his own right now. I think the reason why I said about Pacquiao, because look at what Pacquiao's achieved in his career. So beating Spence, and then you have to, then bearing in mind what he's already achieved, that's why I was saying that you could put him pound for pound number one. Because right now, I would say Pacquiao is more accomplished than Canelo, which I think most people would agree with. But Canelo Alvarez's career is still going, and he's still, for me, in his prime. He's still doing great things. If Canelo Alvarez was to go to light heavyweight and then maybe go to cruiserweight, who knows with Canelo, right? You have to make an argument that he's kind of in the same category. Some people may argue he's better. But this is what I'm trying to say. I definitely think that Canelo Alvarez is shaping up. His career is shaping up. And he's becoming a fighter like those names that I mentioned. And I believe when he does finish his career, he'll be mentioned in the same breath as a Mayweather, as a Pacquiao, as a Leonard. I believe he's that. Now, people may not think he's as talented as some of those guys. But I do think when achievement alone will put him in the same kind of club, same kind of category as those guys. Because he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. No doubt about it. I don't think anyone can really question that. What he's achieved, what he's done, it's unbelievable. But that's my take. Let me know what you think about the Canelo Alvarez being sent a draft contract. Leave your thoughts. And guys, remember to please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.